If you see this on Keepa, you need to run. Do not buy these products, okay? This is part 5 of my full free course that I put out on YouTube for you guys because I love you guys so much. Today, we're going to be talking about some big red flags you need to avoid with Keepa. And I promise you, these are so important. They can cost your business money, but they can also even cost your business, your whole business. It can cost your account. So really pay attention to this video because most gurus won't even share this stuff because they don't even care to teach you it. So this is super important that you guys know this going into this business. So I want you guys to be best prepared. For those of you guys that don't know me, my name's Eric Cooper. I've sold over $2 million on Amazon and consistently sell $100,000 a month. In this channel, I share what's working for me and what's not. Some of the mistakes that I've made along the way, just like I'm going to be sharing in today's video. And I want to help others take action on starting this business. So without further ado, this is the part 5 of 6 in this whole series. The next video is going to be one of the most important videos you guys will see because it's about how to fully automate this business and turn it into something that generates you money without you having to work 24/7, okay? This is what we're covering today. We're going to be covering IP complaints, brands on the listing, listings with 100% buy box win rate, brand mismatches, and I'm also going to be talking about pattern recognition. Now, all this stuff might seem a little confusing, but don't worry. I'm the expert. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So first things first, IP complaints. What is an IP complaint? Okay, let me show you guys. Okay, an IP complaint is typically when you see a listing and they do something like this right here. Okay, if you see a listing where there's a straight line down in the offer count on Keepa, this is a massive red flag for a potential IP complaint. If you don't know what an IP complaint, it's basically when a brand kicks you off a listing, and this can kind of leave you stuck because you have dead inventory. You have inventory that's now you can't really sell unless you try to sell it on Marketplace or something like that. And the other thing, this can actually affect your account health. If you get a bunch of IP complaints, Amazon ain't going to like that. They're not going to be happy with you. So make sure you try to avoid this. Now, if you don't see one in the past year, 2 years, you're probably okay, even if you have seen one, in the past, like 3-4 years. But like I said, if you look in the past 1-2 years and you don't see an IP complaint, it might mean that they stopped issuing them and you could be okay. But the biggest thing I can give advice on for avoiding these IP complaints, we're going to go into another example here. This is another one. Not as big of an example, right? We went from 17 down to 2. The biggest thing you can do to avoid IP complaints as well, obviously this one was kind of, not necessarily super, it would be hard to know that this was going to happen with this one. But what I can say for just a general advice, you really want to avoid listings where there's like only 3-4 sellers on it in the past year, 2 years. If there's only been like 4 or 5 sellers, that's not good. So if you look at this listing, obviously we had this big spike up in this short period of time, which was right before they did the IP complaint. But if you look before that, it was 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 sellers at most, right? You guys can see this, right? Only a few sellers at most. And so if I see this, I'm like, nope, not going to bother because this could turn into an IP complaint. But what I see a lot of beginners make a mistake of, even knowing about IP complaints, is what happens is they'll see this surcharge of people and they're like, oh, there's more than 4 people on this listing, right? We have 19 people. This means we're okay. This is a pass. But what you don't understand is this is in the past few months. You need to look at the past year. Because if you looked at the past year, you would have seen, okay, there's only 1, 2, 3 people on this listing. That's really low. And then that would maybe help deter you away from making the mistake of buying a listing like this. So that's my advice for that one. Another one is just talking about brands on a listing, okay? So this is a listing where human N or just human, whatever, is this brand, right? They're selling this product and that's their name, right? This product had the brand on the listing, right? So if you guys see here at the top, it says human was on the listing, and there's 48 people on here. So again, you're going to go in with the mindset, okay, well, there's 48 people on here. Even though the brand's on the listing, it doesn't look like they issue IP complaints. It looks like we're all good. There shouldn't be any issues. The issue with this listing is, and this is why, like, especially as I've scaled up, I tend to try to avoid listings where the brand's on it completely, even if there's other people selling, just because what happened was they changed their mind. They started, like, they didn't necessarily kick these people off with an IP complaint. I'm assuming they just started restricting people from being able to sell the product, because now it's only the brand, right? It's only the brand that sells this product now. So, just something to consider. If you guys see the brand on the listing, you might just want to avoid it. You know what I mean? Even if you see 50 other people selling that product, just something to consider. You don't have to take my advice. Obviously, I'm going to be more cautious now than when I first started. When I first started, I was, a bit of a loose cannon, but when you get at a, higher scale, things become a little bit more important, business over everything, right? I'd rather not take shortcuts. So that's my advice for you guys as well, is try not to take shortcuts and, do that silly stuff. And if you see a brand on the listing, it's probably best to just move on, because you never know if they'll, issue an IP complaint, change their mind, or whatever. So just some advice. Next thing I wanted to touch on was listings with 100% buy box win rate, okay? And listings with Amazon on them. So we can see here, if I go to the Keepa, I go to data, buy box statistics, you can see here Amazon has won 100% of the buy box, and they're a really big, prominent seller on this listing. Most gurus are going to tell you to run away, go away from Amazon, and if you see a listing with 100% buy box, completely run away. They're not necessarily wrong, okay? This is the advice I give to my students too when they're first starting out, because you should typically avoid Amazon, because there are going to be times where you will think you can get a sale with Amazon and you won't. But I want to educate you guys on why this is a listing that you actually could go ahead and compete with Amazon on and sell, okay? This might be a tough concept to fully understand right away, but I'm going to try my best to explain it to you guys so you at least know this. You have it in your arsenal if you ever come across Amazon or listings like this in general. So what we're looking at here, Amazon has 100% buy box win rate, right? We know that. But what we see here, if I can go ahead and whip out the draw tool, what we see here is people selling out of stock, right? If you guys see the offer count going down here, right, these little spurts of people selling out, right, the stairways down, all these little indicators, every single thing that's being shown right there basically means someone sold out of stock. The only way to sell out of stock is by selling the product, right? So what I'm saying here and implying is that these people were actually able to still sell units even though Amazon was on this listing, and they have a 100% buy box win rate. So don't always believe that just because a listing says 100% buy box win rate, you won't be able to get sales. And just because Amazon is on a listing doesn't mean you can't compete with them. The biggest thing you want to look for is, are there movements in the offer count? Okay, because as long as there's movement in the offer count, you're good to go. If you see the offer count look like this, right? Let's say you just saw a straight line and you saw Amazon on here, I'd be probably saying the opposite. I'd be like, nope, you're not going to get sales on here. Amazon has hardcore locked that down. But if you see these little movements, these pieces of movement, that shows at least a sign that you can probably get some sales. Now, how should you buy a product like this knowing what I just told you? You should only test, okay? 5, 10 units. Depends on the product cost, okay, and your capital and budget. But I would really only test a product like this. I would not go all in until you've got enough data where after the test buy, you're like, okay, I sold it to the units really quickly. Now I'm going to buy some more. That's when you buy more, okay? But when you first buy this, like a product like this, you just want to test it. You don't want to go crazy. And that's my advice for that. The other thing I want to touch on here is pattern recognition, okay? So this is a ColourPop listing. And I really like this example because it really displays The patterns within selling on Amazon super, super well. And this is one of my favorite things to touch on, because once you recognize this pattern, I feel like sourcing becomes easier, and just your life in general gets a little bit easier when you're looking for products. So what I want to share is the pattern within side of Keepa right here. So you can see this is the top of the offer count, right? These are like peak moments where we have a ton of sellers on these listings, right? You can see these really high peak moments. And what I want to share about these peak moments where there's the most sellers you really ever see on the listing, every time you draw an arrow directly above, you will always see that the price is at the lowest it's really ever been, right? You guys see that? Now, obviously, after pointing that out, you're like, oh, well, obviously, Eric, the more people are on the listing, the more the price is going to go down. And that's right. But what I also want to show you is the opposite effect, looking at the valleys, right? So the points where the offer count is at the lowest it's ever been, right? These kind of work, I guess, this little one. If you go directly above the lowest peaks, look at what we see now on the price. It's the highest it's ever been. So why is that important? It's important because if you start focusing on sourcing products where the offer count is declining, you are going to position yourself in a way where you're going to hit that product and sell it when you're at a really, really low valley point, and you sell for double, triple possibly what that price normally sells at. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. The biggest thing you want to look out for is obviously, if you see a product skyrocketing in offer count, probably not the best time to go ahead and purchase that item. But hopefully that makes sense for you guys. It takes some time, but it's really just general supply and demand. So once you guys start to recognize that pattern, it won't seem silly, and it won't seem hard to understand. It's just supply and demand, very simple. And I wanted to point that out with this other product right here, because I actually had a VA send me this, and I was like, you should know this, okay? You should know this, because this is something very simple. So what happened was, is she sent me the product, and this is really what the date looked like. She must have sent me this around April, May. And we can see here, the price is pretty good right here, okay? This purple line is pretty good. We're at let's see here, we're at like $38 price range, 38, 39. We're doing really good. And I think the buy cost was, let me see here. I know it was around 18 or 19. I think we'll just put 19 for the sake of this video, just so we have some numbers. So looking at this, you're like, boom, $6 profit, 35% ROI, everything checks out, right? This is all really good information. But what we didn't account for, what my VA didn't account for, was the previous selling price. What does the product normally sell at? And if you look back here, the whole, almost a full year or 6 months or so, this product was always selling at $28, $27, $26, which isn't very high. You know what I mean? If we sold at $28, we are now losing money, okay? Obviously, you guys don't want to lose money. I didn't want to lose money either, so I didn't buy this product. But just so you guys understand what actually happened here, why did this product go up to $38? Why did it skyrocket in price? And why did, as soon as it skyrocketed in price, it shot back down? Shot back down to that $28 price range, shot back down to that $29 price range. I knew this was going to happen, and the reason I knew that was going to happen is because we were sourcing this product in the valley, right? We were at an offer count that was extremely low, so the price 2 to 3x, right? It went super high. And so what's very important to note here is that you need to be looking at what the previous selling prices are. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to know what the previous selling price is in the future in this case scenario, but looking at the previous price history back and seeing what that price was. And that is how you're going to go ahead and avoid making mistakes of buying products like this, because the price here, it's just inflated, right? There's no competition, so people are setting the price extremely high. Now, these are opportunities that you could sell FBM and squeeze some money out of, but for a guy like me that's doing FBA, it's kind of it's more challenging to take advantage of these opportunities because, you know, Amazon takes some time to receive your inventory, stuff like that, okay? But for some of you guys, you can take advantage of this. The last and final thing I want to touch on is the brand mismatches, okay? So brand mismatches, I'm going to use Spring Valley as an example because it's a really good one. Brand mismatches are essentially when you look at, let's say, this product, and obviously the big brand here that people are, you know, looking at is Spring Valley, right? Like that's why people are buying this. But what you guys are probably noticing here is there's this little sticker, STS sticker. Essentially what this listing is this guy has basically hijacked creating his own listing, and he's basically milking all the sales of Spring Valley while making it his own listing, which means he could kick you off this listing. He could even possibly even IP complaint you. He can mess with you. And if you scroll down here, you'll see he's the only seller. So if you were to jump on this listing, you would probably get kicked right off, get hit with an IP complaint, and it wouldn't be good. So always avoid brand mismatches. And the way you can avoid them is by looking right here. So we can see the brand, instead of it saying Spring Valley, which is what it should say, it says STS Home. Okay, and so that's not good. Sometimes you will see listings where this brand still doesn't necessarily match the brand itself that you're looking at, but it's usually because the brand you're looking at is like a sub brand of the brand that's usually in this, you know, section, or it's like this section of brand actually owns the brand you're sourcing, if that makes sense. But in this example, this is an actual Spring Valley product, and you can see the brand actually is Spring Valley. That's what it should be, okay? And this one would obviously be okay, and obviously we look at the offer count, it's normal, right? We actually have people on this listing, things are normal, it makes sense. So just going forward, guys, obviously try to avoid listings like this. Obviously this is another one right here. You get some sticker thing. So you really want to avoid any listing that is a brand mismatch, okay? It is not worth trying to sell on these listings. So yeah, just something to look out for. For those of you guys that made it to the end of this video, you're a pro. You're going to be a pro because these are some really important things that I think a lot of people skip over, and no one really teaches this stuff on YouTube because it's not as cool, right? It's not as cool and fun. But I wanted to share this with you guys because I think it's one of the most important things with selling on Amazon. If you guys like this video, make sure to check out my my next live training. It's coming up this Sunday. You do not want to miss this training. It's completely live, and at the end, I break down a full Q&A and help you guys out. So if you guys have been struggling, make sure to check that out. And yeah, for those of you guys that are struggling to, you know, find products, get sourcing, avoiding, maybe you're struggling to avoid products like this, or you need someone to look over the Keepa of your products, you guys can actually apply to work with me one-on-one, and that way I can actually look over every single product before you purchase it and, you know, lose thousands of dollars buying a really bad product. So yeah, with that being said, see you guys in the next one.